Check the mic, 1, 2, this ain't no drill, this is the truth. From Roxas to streets, hear the veterans' youth and the wisdom of ages. Battle hardened and true, combat news on the air, breaking through for me and you.
Welcome back, everybody, to the front lines of conversation. Here you are watching Conversations with Sarge, presented by Combat News. And of course, I am Sarge. And on this show, we don't just talk about the mission. We talk about the men and women who lived it and the ones who are still leading the charge in new ways. We're deep diving into the stories of service, the reality of transition, and the grit it takes to build something from the ground up after the boots are hung up. Today's guest is an example of the never quit mentality. He's the owner and operator of Battle Rattle Spirits, Joe Geiger. We're here talking about his story, his journey from carrying the weight of the gear, servicing our country, to the precision and passion behind the still. We're breaking down his military roots, the brotherhood that fueled this mission, this business, and how he's using every bottle sold to give back to the veterans and first responder communities. So thank you, Joe, for joining us. I appreciate this so much.
Thank you, Sarge, for your time and this opportunity to share my story as well.
Absolutely. So here at Conversations with Sarge, we like to start from the beginning. We like to get the veterans to let us know a little bit of time of your life before the service, before you signed that dotted line. So if you don't mind, could you tell us a little bit about the beginning, about yourself, your family, what school you went to, where you're from before you signed the dotted line?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Wayne County, went to Wayne Central. I graduated in 2005. 315 guy through and through, blue collar roots. Really enjoyed that. Grew up, my dad owning a construction company. So my first job was hanging drywall. And then my second job was washing dishes at the Ontario Golf Club so I could get some free golf in on the side as well.
I like it.
And actually in second grade, I met this girl named Melanie Miles. Her and I became friends all through school. We sat next to each other in band, played the trumpet together for many years. She ended up being the homecoming queen, and I was like the president of the Nerd Olympics. You know, I did like math team, science Olympiad, golf team, stuff like that. We were really good friends, but never dated. And then after high school, I went away for a couple of years, came home. I'll circle back around on what that story looked like, but her and I have been together ever since. So we were
That's
married
awesome.
for 15 years now with 5 children. We traveled the world and came back and actually lived 2 doors down from her parents in the town of Walworth,
Wow,
raising our kids
that's
right back at Wayne Central.
full
So
circle, man. That's
yeah,
full circle right there. I like that a lot. And it's funny to hear a story like that because my wife, I tell people, we were each other's first kiss in elementary school. You know, she
nice.
tells the story that she, throughout, high school and stuff and middle school, she always was searching for her M. I'm Mark Mitchell, so she always searched for M&M. Never thought that I would join the military. And I said, what does that mean? She said, I never thought that's the uniform you'd wear. I say, okay, let's stop there. But now we met each other back up and we're married, and it's just such a blessing. It's a full circle, and I feel so great. But that's an amazing
Yeah, it's a
story.
great blessing. Yeah. So that's kind of like the cookies of the Oreo. I guess you're probably looking for more of the Oreo filling of the
Well,
service and whole time and whatnot.
well, after you were you in Wayne, or is that where you signed into from the military? Is that the high school that you joined from?
So very complicated story. For brevity, I'll just share like the highlights of like how I actually wound up in uniform. But long story short, I felt the draw out west and I left here at 17, went out to Colorado and went to the Colorado School of Mines, and I studied engineering out there. Worked in a coal mine for a while, worked in a copper mine, and I did ROTC in college to put me through school. It wasn't just like I'm going to do this for scholarship thing. There was a strong tie. I kind of always knew I was going to be in the military. I didn't know what form,
Hmm.
but I had my grandfather served in the Pacific in World War II. He island hopped all the way from New Caledonia to the occupation of Japan.
Wow,
And my great grandfather fought in the trenches in France. And I got tons of relatives that fought in the Civil War and the Revolution. So
some great roots.
yeah, I've always felt the calling to serve the country, and everybody was in the Army all through the generations. So I just, looking back in retrospect, I mean, the Navy, the Air Force, like they do some really cool stuff. I don't think I'm wired right to be a Marine because you got to be a special kind of hardcore.
I
The
agree.
Army was just always what called to me. So I got an opportunity to get a 4-year scholarship. At the time, the Army was really pushing the STEM thing for science, technology, engineering, math. If you could be in a major like that and then commit, you
Mhm.
could do the ROTC scholarship. So I picked that up. And when I graduated with my undergrad, 2009, branch field artillery coming out of Colorado, and did my time at Fort Sill, pull string, make gun go boom. I was a good red leg, king of battle. I was very excited. I wanted to be artillery. That was my first choice. My grandfather was an artillery lieutenant as well. In fact, he got drafted in peacetime in 1940. A lot of people don't realize there was peacetime draft back then.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he was he came in as a private, and they found out he had like a year and a half of college, so they ended up putting him through OCS, and he was supposed to be discharged in March of 42. In February of 42, he found himself on a troop transport to the South Pacific, and they never came home till 1946. So he did like the full,
Man.
and then just completely by chance, I found out years later that he and I were doing the exact same thing at the exact same age. Him on Guadalcanal as an artillery platoon leader, me in
Wow.
Afghanistan.
Wow. That's amazing. So when the reality of service, did the reality of service match what you imagined back then?
No, I think we're all young, dumb, and naive, and we're still close enough to 9/11. I was hardcore bleed red, white, and blue. Just like I want to go
Mhm.
crush some terrorist skulls and wave the flag as high as I possibly can. That like early
Yep.
20s, I'm invincible. I can be on top of the
Absolutely.
world. Nothing scares me. All that good stuff. So I was all in. I was like completely. I want to do everything I can for this country. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just that the vigor of youth. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, trust me. I mean, it came down to even when I was in the military, tattoos. I used to get tattoos like it was going out of style. When I got out of the
Yeah.
military, I got a touch up, and I got a little one. My wife was getting it just to add on, and I was like, "What? I used to like this. Like even that. It's like might sound
Right.
crazy, but even get tattoos. Like it's not. It's you're not who anymore." And I think that comes from being a parent, settling down a little bit too,
For sure.
realizing that you're not immortal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, so again, being the typical dumb lieutenant that needs to learn from his NCOs. I don't like the first time we had contact in theater, and at the time I was a fire sport officer and like headquarters platoon leader for infantry company. One of my first patrols. This is awesome. I'm all my training. We got insurgents up here, and I like jump up on a stone wall to get better looks so I can get great coordinates to and one of the E6s grabbed me from the back of my IOTV and just pulled me down. He's like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot."
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh.
so it's funny, like when you're young and you're fearless and you're like, "I'm gonna go do this thing," but then now being a parent, it completely changes your whole risk profile and everything in life, right? Not even just
Amen.
physical security, but just the things you're willing to try and not try, because so much of that becomes about the kids.
Yeah, and that's what when you served overseas, how many tours did you do? Did you just do 1 tour, 2 tours?
I did one 12-month tour to
Okay,
RC East in Afghanistan. So I spent the first 5 months in Nangarhar, a place
okay.
called Kop Comanche, right on the border of Pakistan by the Tora Bora Mountains. And I was like I said, fire support officer and then a headquarters platoon leader for our infantry company. And then mid tour, there was a little bit of I don't know what the right word is, firing incident, if you will, for field artillery lingo. And a lieutenant got fired down in Paktika. So because I was the way the units were organized, I was part of the artillery battalion, but had been farmed out to the infantry battalion. That's how they did all the officers or whatever. So they pulled me out of one infantry battalion, sent me to a different one, Paktika province, again on the Pakistan border. And for anybody that's familiar with the name Bo Bergdahl, he
Yeah,
was yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he like wandered off. If you think Yahya Kel and Wazikwa and Ghazni and Paktika, that whole battle space was held down by the 101st 4th Brigade 101st, and we replaced them. So we actually had like patrols looking for him, but it was a very kinetic battle space. So I took over, fell in with the actual firing platoon.
Mhm.
So instead of doing fire support, I was out with the maneuver units. I was actually on the cop with the guns and fire direction and leading the platoon, and then like doing fob security as battle captain and whatnot. And we did a lot of fires. Says same area too where Pat Tillman passed away. We
Yeah,
were just south of
tracking.
Cop Tillman. They had 105s, the towed howitzers. We had the 777s, the 155s. And so it was Cop Tillman up north, Cop OP Marga, and then we were at Cop Boris. And then south of us was a place called Shkin, which was like a CIA spook kind of place where they did a lot of cross border stuff. So we fired a lot in support of them. Hundreds of rounds of thousands of rounds of artillery, 155 HE and 5 phosphorus. A lot of troops in contact, a lot of going after points of origin for rocket attacks and mortars and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. That's intense. I never went to Afghanistan. I was in Iraq, both tours. Pretty much the same daggone place too. Camp Taji, like east of Baghdad is where I
Sure.
was. So I never really got to experience Afghanistan, but the ones that I've talked to that have been, it definitely seems like a different war, you know what I mean, than Iraq. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
different you have to be a different kind of war fighter mentally and physically. And that's why sometimes when what you never want to compare veterans, but when it comes down to disability and how people have suffered, I believe Afghanistan veterans definitely had to deal with a little bit more than Iraq, and that's just my personal opinion. The terrain, the people, the missions all seem totally different than what I experienced and heard other people have in Iraq.
I think there's a lot of commonality as far as both theaters. I can't speak directly because I made it to Kuwait, but never Iraq. But as far as the type of battle space, type of engagements, everything we did was at a distance. So
Mm.
a lot of the stories I've heard from Iraq, a lot of it was a lot more intimate, close up.
Close yeah, close quarters kid, right in there with them.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
living in the areas you're taking over and keep it moving.
yeah we were very everything was. I mean, when I was at Paktika, I think our cop was at like 8,000, 8,500 feet above sea level. So it was 20 below in the winter, and then it was still 100 degrees in the summer. So we were fighting the elements, and then I got lots of great pictures. Afghanistan's beautiful. I
Yeah,
mean, like, gorgeous. Somewhere that I would want a vacation if it wasn't such a hellhole,
absolutely.
politically.
Yeah,
But like the terrain is just breathtakingly beautiful. The mountains and but yeah, so a lot of I fed very, very few mounted patrols. I spent a few time in vehicles, but overwhelmingly it was just everything was dismounted, it was light, climbing up the mountains, going through villages, clearing paths, and then when we did engage, it was almost always at a distance. There was
yeah.
sometimes small arms fire, but a lot of it was sniper, a lot of it was helicopter airstrikes, and a ton of artillery.
And what do you miss the most about the military?
Oh, it's easy. The camaraderie, the brotherhood.
Absolutely.
There's nothing like it.
I agree. Do you remember the first time that you actually felt that brotherhood, felt that, "Oh my gosh, that's that's real," you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that camaraderie, that brotherhood, you know that feeling. It's
Yes.
hard to explain, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Nothing replaces it. I will say probably a distant second is I do miss the adrenaline of combat. Like, I know it sounds sick, but like, I don't know. There's days I just fantasize. I like text my guys. I'll be like, my buddies, hey, wouldn't it be great to just get on a long ship and just do a Viking raid right now? Some battle axes, go start chopping. And I don't know. Like, there's something about the visceral feeling. Everything gets stripped away. You're in the moment.
Mhm.
Your training kicks in. You feel so confident with the people that are around you. And like, I would say, I would go to war with you. Like, I know what that means, and it carries
Mhm.
deep meaning. So I really miss that feeling. That feeling, not necessarily violence, not necessarily the killing, the deaths, and all that. But I,
Right,
I just
not the
miss that.
actions.
Yeah, the everything is so clear, and it makes so much
Yes.
sense. And to your left, to your right, to your front, to your rear, surrounded by people that you absolutely love and love you, and they got your back, and
Mhm.
you're in it, right? And there's
Yeah.
no one else you'd rather be with. So I miss the adrenaline a little bit, but I really miss the extreme camaraderie that is just so authentic, and there's no way to replace that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now is there something that you would If you could go back and tell your younger self when you were in the military something to make your service or your transition even as a civilian a little bit better, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, my younger self who knew everything already and didn't need anyone telling him because I already had all the answers. Yeah. I would say honestly, I don't know if you've ever gotten this advice before. I got it before my wedding. It was to take just take snapshots of your mind. Just sit with something, a memory for a minute, take it all in, the sights, the smells, the sounds of that moment, and just really internalize it and remember it. And I've done that a few times, like birth of a child, wedding day,
Hmm.
but everything in my service from like start to finish was always like mission oriented, mission focused, take care of the soldiers, take care of the mission. And you're just going a million miles an hour all the time. I wish that I would just tell myself to take it in sometimes in the positive stuff because we get so overwhelmed and beat over the head to dwell on the negative or victim mentality or you're not getting the services you need as a veteran, you save country, whatever. The positives though, I mean, like I said, Afghanistan is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. I wish for once in a while I would have sat down and just taken inventory and been like, wow, sit with some gratitude here. This place is
Yeah,
beautiful and I'm surrounded by people that love me and I love them.
I
You know what
like
I
it,
mean?
man. I like it. No, that's intense. That's deep right there. And actually, I like that a lot. I like that. And now that you're out of the military, like I said in the beginning in the intro, you have now started your own company, right? Battle Rattle, and we know as veterans, Battle Rattle carries a lot of weight, literally, figuratively. What and why did you pick this name? And why do you think that it was right for your brand? What does it represent to you personally from your time downrange as well?
Sure. Yeah, if I could tie that together too with your last question and this question
Hmm.
as well. Another thing that I would have told myself out of transition into civilian life was not that I had an entitlement attitude. I don't feel like I've ever been truly entitled in my life. I've always tried to earn things. But seriously, nobody really cares about your service. I mean, there's a lot of, hey, thank you for your service or whatever. But I
Right.
thought maybe coming out, hey, I've led soldiers in combat. I've been humbled. I've had this amazing training, these amazing experiences. I've been to dozens of countries,
Hmm.
done all of this stuff. I was stationed in Europe, like had some incredible things. And I thought, well, of course, doors will open because I've earned it and I've done all these great things. And that's not how life works in service, post service. And I tell all my friends that are transitioning, like, make sure to stay hungry and humble because
Yes.
no one owes you anything and don't feel like they owe you anything. We're part of this generation that was fortunate enough to be all volunteer and we all did this, right? So we're there
Yeah.
voluntarily. And so first of all, like no one really owes you anything. We got our paychecks, we got our benefits, served our country. So you got to stay hungry and humble and you got to keep earning it. And just cuz like you think civilians life's going to be easier than the military, some ways it is, right? In some ways it's a lot easier. In some ways it's not. In some ways the military is
Right.
easier and you got to just stay hungry and humble. So that's kind of where the genesis of Battle Rattle came out of all this. I I know we don't have hours here to go through my whole boring life story, but I did struggle with that
Take your time.
transition.
Take your time.
No, I definitely struggled with the transition from military to civilian world in the professional setting where in I worked with a lot of really good people too, so it's not their fault, right? Like
Mhm.
the scenarios I found myself in the work, and I hopped around jobs because I was having trouble finding my footing and finding where I fit in. And actually went back on the GI Bill, got my master's too, and it was tough to fit in, and it was on me. It's not like there's something wrong with everybody else, and it's not that there was anything wrong with me either. It was more my perspective and finding a healthy balance on how to reconcile everything. And so, I was able to climb the corporate ladder, have some really good jobs, had some really good bosses, some not good bosses, some crappy jobs too. Like got the full experience. And then eventually I hit a point where I realized that I still had that that burning fire that couldn't be put out, and the only way that I was gonna satiate that was to go do my own thing. And so I kinda dabbled around with some entrepreneurship on the side where I kept the 9 to 5, kept the paychecks coming in to support the family, kept the benefits going and everything, but then I would have some side hustles. And I try this side hustle out, try that side hustle out. And then with timing on the birth of my children, on where I was professionally in my career, and then where the opportunities came out, just over a year ago, I decided it's time to go all in. Like it's now or
I like
never.
it.
And that appetite for risk management, like how far you'll go. So I gathered up with a couple of my closest friends, including a couple that I'd served with in the army, and we went out on a limb, 100%, and we started a distillery. And I know it sounds crazy because I had no distilling experience. I'm not even really a heavy drinker. It was just the calling of, again, camaraderie, brotherhood, working with the people I was going to work with. It was something tangible. I was sick of working these white collar jobs where, there's a lot of email, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of meetings. Sure, there's value created. Sure, there's service being rendered or whatever, but I really wanted something
Mhm.
tangible. And then I wanted to create something that was authentic to me and my background
Yeah.
and those are the people that were with me. So all of us that started this company were either veterans, former first responders, or if not that specifically, then there's a couple of guys that are just straight up patriots, just you know, blue collar, hardworking Americans.
Yeah.
We decided on a brand of Battle Rattle because it's what you carry with you. And so we thought, both physically and metaphorically, we carry that whole story with us, our
Hmm.
background, our camaraderie together. And then with our brand, we want to carry everybody around us that's part of our group too. So, in addition to starting the distillery in parallel, we also started a wellness center for veterans, first responders that the distillery supports as well as additional donations. And we don't have a profit interest in the wellness. Our interest in that is to create a, for lack of a better term, I'm not trying to sound hippie on this, but like a safe place for
Yeah.
people of our, shared history to come and be themselves. So it's an old fire hall that we converted into a wellness center
That's
for,
awesome.
it's for vets, first responders and their family members. And we've got like this club membership, which I could always talk about, but like kind of the services that we do. And then we have the guys, us together working in the distillery, and it is literally farm to bottle. So
I like
one of
it.
the partners owns a farm, and we're working in the grape vineyards and hand harvesting the botanicals that go in the gin. And it's just a fully vertically integrated, tangible farm to bottle product experience is kind of enriching for us because we're doing something with our hands. We're getting out in fresh air, right? But then
Hmm.
also in the factory setting in our distillery and making something and then creating a place where we just feel like we're the best version of ourselves. And I know too that there's everyone feels a certain kind of way. There's a lot of substance abuse in our community for
Hmm.
veterans dealing with certain traumas, certain
Yeah.
ways to deal with stress. There's a lot of alcohol abuse. So that, yeah, I did definitely ponder that. Like, hey, is this the most responsible thing to do as a veteran? But the other thing too is there's a lot of tools that get abused, right?
Absolutely.
So there is a there's a dark side to it and there's an upside to it. And we are very cognizant of the entire ecosystem that goes around that. So, part of that is again very much dedicated to mental health and wellness. And I could share my whole mental health journey if you want to hear it. I'm
Yeah.
an open
No.
book.
Absolutely. I want to know what. Why did you? Is it because of your journey why you decided to do this other part of your battle rattle for veterans to have a little safe place? Is that why you? Is it because of your experiences?
Absolutely.
Something you needed, and you see that if you needed it, others probably need it as well, right?
100%. And there's a lot less now stigma around mental health,
Hmm.
for veterans, especially as men. And I don't want to sound sexist at all. I got 4 daughters and a son. I got 4 sisters. Like I love my wife. For men though, there is a certain extra level of we got to hold it together and be stoic, especially as fathers and
Yes.
husbands. And you know, I'm trying to use myself as an example to say it's all right to take a knee and ask for help
Hmm.
before you want to do something stupid, right? And for me, we uh we had at least a dozen guys that I've served with that I knew personally have taken their life since we got out. And I think the the vast majority of them, knowing the backstory, is the unraveling happens when you lose the camaraderie,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And if you look at, I've joked too with one of my therapists who's also a combat vet. We joked that if there was no childhood trauma, there'd be no combat arms.
yeah, that's
It's almost
that's that's pretty true.
yeah, it's almost like there's this archetype of, you come from a rocky childhood, right? Then you find yourself in the military surrounded by people. And now you got your family, like an authentic family that you care about and that cares about you. And that's incredible. But at the same time, then you go through some of the most traumatic events imaginable together. But you can do it because you're together and you're resilient. And then as soon as that goes away, we like melt into a puddle a lot of times, right? So for me, I held it together until I was out. And then I started having these physical manifestations of, your stress and mental symptoms that just build up over time because you ignore it, you drive
Yep.
on.
Yep.
I'm tough, I'm strong, I don't need help, I'm good to go. And for me, it actually manifested as I was getting these ocular migraines. So I couldn't see. I'd be at work, couldn't see my computer. I tried to get in my car to drive home, couldn't see to drive. I had to actually have my wife come pick me up from work. And that wound up with all this testing. Like, oh, does he have a brain tumor? Have you had a stroke? What are all these things? There's nothing physically wrong with me. It's all psychosomatic. And through that journey of weeks of medical testing and trying to find out what's wrong with this otherwise healthy guy, basically what it turned into was I had all of this stress and trauma that's been suppressed and not dealt with. And now it's finding a way out. And that way out is some physical symptoms, right? So that started my multi-year healing journey. And one thing that I will say is, again, like I said before, humble and hungry. You got to keep pushing at it and trying, and you will only get better if you want to get better,
Amen.
right? You got to put in the work. So I tried several different therapists and forms of therapy, and you know, I ran the gamut. Again, I talked for hours of this whole thing, the ups and the
No,
downs,
no,
all
we
the
like it,
while
man.
all the while losing another friend here and there too. So then you got like all that self doubt creeping in. It's like, well, that's the easier way out, you know. And the more the more of the soldiers that started doing that, the more it's like, all right, well, maybe it's less far away. It's close to me. I'm used to violence.
Yes.
I'm used to death, and now I got someone else that I care about deeply that has also taken their life. So it gets closer and closer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to get stuck into that dark place. So I've been there. I've been close. And there's
Yeah.
been things that have pulled me back. And I'm very happy and proud to say now that through the journey that I have taken, I've got the tools. And not to say I don't have down days. We all got down days.
Yeah.
But I'm able to build the tools so that I can wrestle with those demons and continue to function and be my best self as a father, as a husband, as a business owner. And I really just want to be able to evangelize that and share that with other people that have been in my shoes and give them the hope that, hey, we can do this. We're strong. Like veterans, we're strong.
Absolutely.
Nothing bothers me more or irritates me more than like anyone, veteran or otherwise, that wants to create us as a class of like weak people that are broken and need help. It's like, no, we're the strongest people. We're the
Yes.
strongest people
Yeah.
and we can
I
do it.
I tell people, veterans, we don't need a hand out. Sometimes we just need a hand up. So
That's
that's
right.
that's all. That's
Yeah.
all.
Preach it, brother.
Yeah, and I love that mental health is a core pillar of Battle Rattle. I like that a lot, and I know that with what you're doing, I know, and I know the listeners will agree that the impact that you are trying to make on mental health and the stigma it's it's priceless. You know what I mean? We need more of that. We need more people realizing that all it takes is just to identify that there is a problem. We always say in combat news, it's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean? And we
Yep.
need to acknowledge that. I go to a lot of men's groups. I know we have men's uh, in Monroe County. We have veterans men's group, and I know the same program that is doing that men's group is looking for other places in the other counties that they're at to start having, men's group there too. Because, it, I feel that the men, like you're saying, we need to realize that we don't need to be strong anymore like that. We need each other. We need to rely on
Right.
each other for strength. We can't
Yeah,
do
we
it
can
on
lift
our
each
own.
other up.
Yeah, yeah. So the next objective for Battle Rattle, what does the future of Battle Rattle look like going into 2026? What do you guys got anything happening? Any releases? Can you, and also before that,
Yeah,
can you tell us the line of products as well? What you have?
absolutely. So we started this thing just over a year ago, and there's a tremendous amount of upstart for an alcohol business too, with permitting and licensing, and then just the equipment and getting trained. And we do have a master distiller on our team who's got all the knowledge on how to create the product, and then we've got a lot of fantastic people that bring different backgrounds to the fight. So we've got really just, I call them the Avengers. We assembled the Avengers. We got a really really good group of guys and gals too on our team that we're working together. So our first goal and objective is to be cash flow positive, which usually takes about 2 years for a startup to go, and that's why a lot of startups fail is being able to survive that. So we're getting close. We're very close to being cash flow
Awesome.
positive, and so we've got a growth strategy on how we want to hit more markets coming up. But we just started sales, actual sales, in November, so we're 3 months into sales activities, and we're already like just brushing on being in the black, which is very exciting. So I think there's some demand for the brand in our story. So we've got the trifecta, as I like to say. I'm going to shamelessly plug our product too. So we got a really good tasting product
I love it.
that has an awesome brand and backstory, and we're cheaper than the competition. So we're local, but we're also like really cool brand and story, really high quality. Like our stuff will stand up in tasting to anybody else, in my opinion. And then price point, not going to hurt the wallet. So
I
a lot of
like
times
that.
you'll find local and craft places will charge a premium for the local and quality, but we're trying to do the opposite and create the value and show people like, no, no, you can have local, you can have high quality and still be affordable. And one of the ways we're able to do that is we don't have this huge, massive debt overhang or these incredible facilities where they cost a lot of money. We're able to return a lot of that value back to the customer and then to our team. So right now we have a 5 spirit lineup. We've got bourbon, gin, vodka, a rum, and a brandy on the Battle Rattle label. We're in about 3 dozen different places right now around like Monroe, Wayne, Oswego counties, and starting to expand outward. If you go to our website, www.battlerattle.us, you can see all the bars, restaurants, and liquor stores that we're currently in, and that's being
Perfect.
updated constantly. I mean, we've closed 5 accounts this week, and it's Thursday. So where we're at, we're adding about 5 a week on average, and we want to keep growing into essentially all of upstate New York here in the next couple of years is our growth plan. So in addition to those spirits on the Battle Rattle line, in about a month, we're launching a line of spirits under the Legends of 1776 brand. So each bottle has a different founding father on it, and it'll be the same thing. We'll have a bourbon, vodka, whiskey, gin, and a mezcal that
I like it.
call brand level, or I'm sorry, well level pricing, so a lot cheaper, but still extremely high quality. Like we'll stand up to anyone in a taste test, or I can go through our whole process of how we make it super high quality. And then also in the pipeline, we've got some canned wines coming out in the spring,
Okay.
which we will, I believe, be the first canned wine in the Finger Lakes. So that's cool. It's all local Finger Lakes, Seneca Lake grapes.
I like it.
So that's in production right now. And then we've got a line of RTD cans, the ready to drink cocktails in a can, coming out
Mhm.
by this summer. And some of those will be mocktails, so we'll have some non-alcoholic options as well. And then we actually have a tasting room opening in Wayne County in the town of Ontario. We're hoping by the end of March. Just waiting on some permitting there. So that'd be really cool. It's really cool, like colonial tavern theme. It's this beautiful building from the early 1800s, hand hewn timbers. It's all
Wow.
painted with like old timey paint. We've got a bunch of founding fathers stuff up. It's super cool. So
I
that's
like
coming
that.
open. And then our wellness center is open. So we're providing services. We're accepting people there. That's also in the town of Ontario, right on the border of Webster. Like I said, Old Union Hill Fire Department. And we've got services available now for folks there.
Now, do you have a phone number, contact, or email for that, or do people just show up? How does that work?
Yeah. So first place to stop would be our website. So the website for the wellness center is unitedthroughwellness.com,
All
spelled
right.
exactly as it sounds, unitedthroughwellness.com. Or if you want to learn about the spirits and the tasting room and our new products coming out, it's www.battlerattle.us, all one word, no punctuation. And we've got ways to contact us through there for phone numbers and emails.
So was it tough to do the distilling? Was it a lot of trial and error? What was that like when you guys first finally got your successful batches where you're like, that's it right there?
Yeah, so cheat code. We have a really good master distiller. So I don't know the first thing about it. I do now. It's I'm still not anywhere close to being an expert. I understand a lot of the basic principles, but our master distiller he had it was a modest distillery producing some fantastic small batch products or whatever. So we basically bought him out, and then he used that capital to go and buy his parents' winery out. So he stayed on as a minority partner with us, runs his parents' winery. We help him with that, and then he is in the process of teaching my team how to be competent, at least halfway competent. But we still need him around for the production days.
Yeah, I like it. And what would you say is your go-to? What is your personal favorite if you had to choose one?
That's like asking me which one of my
Which
favorite
kid?
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, how about this then? How about this? What
yeah,
is your favorite drink to make with your brand of products you got there?
yeah. So the fun one has got to be the gin and tonic because we have an indigo gin, and it's
Okay.
colored with botanicals that are picked from Seneca counties, including some butterfly pea flower. So it's really cool because that's for you chemistry
Wow.
nerds out there. That's an acid-based pH indicator. So our gin is a dark blue, like indigo color, and then you pour it
That's
into a glass, and then if you add tonic water to it, it changes from a base pH to acidic pH, and it goes from indigo to violet. So it's kind of cool. It changes color.
wow.
And then we designed this gin specifically to be for the people that don't really care for it. So
Mhm.
it's like a citrus forward, light on the juniper, super fruity like gin. It's not offensive at all. So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun drink. Like you get the color change. It's good flavor. It's a lot of fun.
So if you could have one of those drinks with one historical military figure, who would it be? And why would you drink with that person?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would pick Henry Knox, the father of the field artillery, just because I was an artilleryman and he was General Washington's first head of the field artillery. There's that crazy story of them getting in the dead of winter, going from upstate New York to Boston with all the captured British cannon that they brought down and were able to push the Brits out of Boston. He was a book salesman before the war, and he goes from like selling books to one of the most integral parts of the American Revolution. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
That's
Share a drink
awesome.
with him.
That's awesome. And what we always ask veterans as well, what was your favorite MRE?
Oh,
Because I know you were eating a lot of MREs.
yeah, yeah. So for those of for those of you out there that were not in ROTC, so there's a pecking order, right? So it's like, you know, SOCOM Special Forces, they get all the best and the best. And then you got like regular army gets really good stuff, and then the reserves gets the leftovers, and then the poor National Guardsmen get like the ash and trash for all the supplies, material, right? And then ROTC was like below that. So I kid you not, I as a cadet in ROTC, I was eating MREs in like 2008 that were manufactured for the Gulf War, right? So like I got
Mm,
me some old MREs, and
mm-mm.
then believe it or not, as part of that story, in Afghanistan, we were launching some 60 millimeter mortar rounds that had manufacturing dates on them from 1970. This would have been 2011, 2012. So like
Wow.
40 plus year old. I mean, some of them were duds, but they still launch. But
They still launch.
yeah, I don't know. I'd probably have to go with the barbecue pork rib
Yeah.
MRE. That it's like the discount McRib. I don't.
Yeah. Did you guys used to
That's
trade
probably
in
my
the
favorite.
field artillery? You guys used to do trade ups when you guys open them up, but you got
Oh
what you
hell
got.
yeah,
Trade.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I seen MREs nowadays. And actually my son is gonna help me start a new segment with talking about military kids and what it's like to be a military child. But every episode we're going to taste test an MRE. And I
Oh
was looking at some of them and they literally have Skittles and M&Ms and all this stuff in them now. And I didn't
yeah,
when I was in I don't remember ever getting. I think the only kind of like candy or something was like those John Wayne bar looking things, them real thick, chocolatey looking, break your teeth. That's about the
yeah,
only
yeah.
candy I remember having or sweets in
Or
MREs.
that
I didn't know when that changed.
that fake gum, the like the chiclet
Yeah.
gum.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
about it, but I literally see these people I was watching, and they're open a peanut M&Ms, a regular M&Ms,
yeah.
Skittles.
Never had that.
What? Yeah, that is crazy. So what do you do now besides Battle Rattle? Is that a full-time gig for you? Do you do anything else within the community? I know you said you like to golf, so you're an avid golfer, you scratch golfer or what?
Never was that good. I was no. I've always been pretending to be a golfer. Actually, I don't think I've even golfed since kids 4 and 5 were born. But yeah, no, Battle Rattle over the last year has become the full time gig. I do have the wellness center, which is my labor of love, and then I do some real estate investing too. I've flipped a bunch of properties, have some vacation homes, and then also do some engineering consulting work on the side. You know, so I don't know. Basically, kids, work. That's what I do.
I like it. Well, if you want to get back into golfing, here in our
I do.
area, we have veterans golf therapy. But that's what it is. It's
I'd
through
love
the
to.
PFC Dwyer program, and I believe the days last year were Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 days a week that you can literally sign up for. First come, first serve. You send the email, I'll get you the information. But we go from, like I said earlier when I talked to on the phone, Ravenwood, Greystone. We're playing a lot of nice courses. Ontario, I know
Yeah,
Ontario Country Club is on the list for next year, but and it's all free and it's all a whole bunch of veterans, young and old. Whether you want to be with somebody or you don't have anybody to be with, we pair people up, and that's how everybody has fun. It's not a competition. Be careful when you'll hear a lot of four, you know what I'm saying? So watch your head,
yeah,
stay down. It's not veterans golf unless somebody gets hit with a golf ball, I feel, or the cart gets hit. When we get back, we're like, all right, who did it?
for
Somebody did
sure.
it. Somebody
Yeah, no,
did it.
count
But
me in. I'd love to get out again.
absolutely. What do you feel that in your area, because I'm in Monroe County and you're out there in Wayne County. What do you think Wayne County veterans need out there that maybe we can link up, and work together or try to, share with the community some things that you see that your veteran community might benefit from?
Sure. Yeah, I know. I mean, growing up here, there's a lot of not everybody, but a lot of people have a little bit of suspicion. The 585-315 or going way back the 7115 divide, right? So there a lot of people out in Wayne County and out east of town kind of keep to themselves from that standpoint, avoid Monroe County, the city, all those services and stuff. But I just want to have a place, like I said, our wellness center where they feel our community feels safe and welcome and part of the team. And it's like we're run all of our staff are either veterans or former first responders. And we've all had our own mental health journeys and we've all had our own issues with our families and marriages and children and fighting through the traumas of our work and everything. So just to create again, a Wayne County style safe place. And I don't mean safe place like, oh, I'm on a college campus and I need a safe place to, you know what I'm saying? Not like that. I'm just talking like just a place to let down your hair and be you and not have to worry about nobody's judging me. Who else is in here? I don't know what their background is. Being that suspicious feeling. So like, no, we got a really cool spot. Everybody that's here is either former military, foreign or current military, a first responder, or one of their family members. So like we just get each other. So just like having that place where we can come be us and then take care of each other, like peer to peer. We're taking care of our own.
Yes.
We're not some massive non for profit that has this huge budget. We don't run at a for a profit motive. We're just a handful of people trying to give back to the people that we care about.
Yeah. I like it. And I know after this, the some of the listeners will probably be hitting you up because I know a lot of people that listen to us and that share Combat News podcast, they're part of an organization, they're either on a board or, they actually run the organization. And I know a lot of them are in your area. So I also think that they're gonna, try to support you a little bit, I believe, because we didn't know, about your wellness center out there. Obviously we're in Monroe County and you're out there, but it's good because we have veterans from your area coming over to our events here in Monroe County. And I know
For
in
sure.
Monroe County we have, veterans that would come out there to your events. And I think doing things like this where we're showcasing veterans, showcasing veteran organizations, it just is going to allow veterans and the proper help for veterans to be placed all over the place where veterans need it the most. And it's not politically driven. There's no ulterior motives behind it. It's not monetization and trying to make money. It's one team, one fight, trying to solve a big problem that we have in the veteran community. And I believe the only way to solve it is peer to peer. And that's why I love to hear what you're saying, because peer-to-peer programs, the Compeer PFC Dwyer program, that
Yeah.
program saved my life. And they're out there, throughout Wayne County, Ontario County. I know they're out in Livingston County and, of course, Monroe County. It's only in New York State. And this program is so great now that they're trying to roll it out nationally. So that's how good this program is. And I think
Yeah.
there's going to be some people hitting you up and saying, hey, I like what you're saying. You're a big advocate for mental health. They just didn't know about you, and now they know. And now they know, who you are and what you're about. And I'm a firm believer that it's going to be some great networking happening with your wellness center and the people that at least I know, and I'm going to make sure hear your story and your mission, what you're trying to do out there, because every county deserves to have the same benefits and the same access for veterans. If it happens in our county, I want it to happen in your county too, and vice versa.
Yeah. And like you keep saying, one team, one fight. And I want to be very clear about this. I got some fantastic services in Monroe County. I sought them out. I went and got them. I had a lot of support from my wife to do so. And like, I don't want our people out here in the hinterlands of 315 to be afraid of that either. Like there's so many great resources out there. We just want to fill a niche, a little need out here where we can be small and help. Even small things we can do to make a big difference in a few people's lives. So we just want to be that bridge. And there's a lot of really cool things happening too in Monroe County that we can help bridge that divide and break down those barriers and those stigmas and make sure that people feel authentically connected to the services.
Yeah, and even maybe we could talk about having what they call a stand down event, over at your wellness, where all the resources, tabling event where we can have a whole bunch of resources out there come directly to your area. So
Yeah,
I've seen it before. I've seen it, we've done it plenty of times within Monroe County. So I don't see why we couldn't, it's not, the resources aren't just for Monroe County veterans. So I believe we could
right.
try to work something out and try to get a little stand down event. And we might find resources that we didn't even know are out there in your area just because, it's not talked
Just
about
getting
or
the
they're
word out.
not a big area. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love it. So one more thing, what would you like to tell the veterans that are struggling with mental health and struggling with the transition to, say find themselves, be a better father, be a better, mother, just the transitioning side. What you have any words of encouragement that you would give to the veteran community?
Absolutely. You're not alone. Don't ever feel like you're alone and nobody cares, because I guarantee you somebody does care. And even if it doesn't feel like it at the moment, like you got somebody. We're together, one team, one fight. You're never alone.
Amen. Amen. And for one more time, can you let people know how or your websites and how to find you one more time for us?
Absolutely. If you're interested, and if you're a veteran or current military, first responder, former first responder, or a family member of them, because we understand that a lot of times we bring traumas back home to the family, right? So
Yes,
we want to
sir.
be there, and we're uniquely positioned to be able to understand and empathize with that. So if you have interest in joining our club, it's essentially a wellness center. It's like a club.
Mhm.
Interested in joining or learning about the services that we offer, it's www.unitedthroughwellness.com, and our contact info is on there. And then if you're interested in supporting the brand of our spirits and our expanding line on the for-profit business side, that also supports a lot of the things that's going on behind the scenes, as well as the livelihoods of those of us that have taken the oath and want to give back to our community. And then, or just try some really good high quality spirits at a good price. www.battlerattle.
Awesome. And I know once you get that tasting room and stuff open, I say Combat News, I'll bring the team down there and we can come see you, and we'll do a second part where we show people
Love to.
on the scene, seeing what's going on. So that'd be awesome. Well, I appreciate
Yeah,
you so
love
much,
to do
Joe,
that.
for everything that you're doing, continuing to do. And I know as far as us at Combat News, we're definitely going to be helping you out any way that we can. If you guys have events coming up, please let us know. But we'll definitely be in touch and networking together to make sure that the veterans have a better tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I
Appreciate
appreciate
that,
that
Sarge. Thank
so
you.
much. So, well, thank you for joining us today, everybody. Please reach out to the team at Battle Rattle. Go support them, share their mission, and let's try to make the veteran community a better place. We have a lot of these organizations out here that they're not looking for a handout either. They're looking for a hand up, because what they're doing is giving a hand up to the ones who served in uniform, first responders, veterans. So it's a blessing to have organizations and businesses like this in our community. So we have to support them. So a massive thank you to you, Joe, and your team at Battle Rattle for everything that you're doing. And it's a powerful reminder that, while the uniform eventually comes off, the mission of service never truly ends. You know what I mean? And whether it's in the field
Absolutely.
or at the still, it's about brotherhood, the discipline, and looking out for the person to your left or right. So if you want to support a veteran-owned business, like I said, that's literally pouring back into our community's mental health, head over to their site, find out where you can taste it, grab a bottle. But thank you so much for watching Conversations with Sarge here. And you can follow us on YouTube. Watch this episode anytime you want. We'll have it uploaded on YouTube and every other episode of veterans in our area and organizations. So thank you all for your support, and have a great day.
For me and you, we're boots on the ground, voices strong and clear, cutting through the static, conquering every fear. Monroe County to NYS, our message rings out wide for every soldier, every family standing side by side. Combat News, yeah, it would